Alright, racists, let's talk about
I don't think there's anything going to get me in heaven, okay? I really don't.
racist America's favorite economic policy is nepotism. It's the only inheritance that truly matters to the parasitic class. It's not just money. It's usually some embarrassing, but a position you did nothing to earn, handed to you simply because your genetically mutated bloodline is animal royalty. The case of Baron Trump is a perfect, almost poetic example of this sickness. Here is a 19-year-old boy who has about 10 more years before he sees manhood. By all accounts, so intellectually unequipped for his academic path that he had to be extracted from it. He is miraculously on track to be anointed as a director on the board of one of the world's most powerful tech companies. After a disappearing act for his first day of school, it was reported 8 days after the start of the fall semester that little Huya Navy was basically a dropout. Classes for the fall semester at NYU began on September 2nd. Barron was a no-show. And today it's been said that he will show up to the NYU DC campus, ironically on today, October 14th, for his first day in the middle of the semester. And he's going to be able to be the director of the board of TikTok. So we expect a family of uneducated men who have a history of running from anything tough to complete a college degree. Donald Trump has nobody's college degree. And Barron Trump won't either. This big boy job is a rescue mission. This is a family that looked at their son and saw that he couldn't hack it in a system they claimed to champion and decided to just appoint him king instead. He is being parachuted into a corporate throne because mediocrity wins every time. Little Big Baron couldn't buy the IQ to get him 4 years of knowledge, I see. Not only does the apple not fall far from the tree, but it appears that both of the apples are still hanging onto the illusion of superiority. It's a defect. And racist America doesn't just accept this, they idolize it. They look at this blatant failing incompetence, rewarded with immense power, and they see a role model. And this feeds their central delusional myth that they are self-made hard workers. They believe that Barron works his ass off because they have to believe the same fantasy about themselves. Their entire identity is a house of cards built on unearned positions, inherited advantages, and rigged games. They are the beneficiaries of a closed-door network that trades names and bloodlines, not talent or intelligence. And they are terrified of a world where the doors are actually opened, where the Barron Trumps of this world would have to compete with the actual qualified original people of this land and compete on a level field. They know they would lose every single time, so they cling to their nepotism. It's a life support system, and watching it in action is watching the most pathetic confession of inadequacy ever made. Alright, racists, let's talk about your one and only invention, reverse racism. We've been down this road a million times. You keep intentionally misunderstanding the definition of racism. So here it goes. Black people cannot be racist ever. Ever. You consistently keep trying to change that. The very architecture of power that you stole. Racism is not a feeling, and it's not an emotional rebuttal, and it's also not a momentary slight or an insult. It is a system of power. It is the machinery of prejudice, combined with the absolute authority to enforce that prejudice through law, through economics, through violence, and through every institution designed to hold Black Americans down. Because Black Indigenous people never fail. So racists have to create a manufactured oppression simply to get ahead, which is not only sad, but pathetic. Racists invented this hate-based system. They are the architects, the foremen, and the primary beneficiary. So for you to turn around and cry reverse racism is the most pathetic, limp-wristed attempt at a power grab in human history. The recent Call Everything That Black People Say Racist Act, it makes the actual racist sound like an arsonist crying that the smoke is getting in their eyes. White people are not victims of racism. You are victims of your own failed logic, and you're victims of consequence. And you know what? You're feeling the pushback and the resistance. Everyone can see it. The long overdue demand for accountability. And your fragile ego can only process it as an inverted version of the violence carried out by you. It is not. This performance is a sign of your weakening grip. And you see your power becoming diluted. You see the world refusing to obey your narrative. And this reverse racism fantasy is your last desperate refuge. You are trying to steal the language of liberation to describe your own minor discomfort. You want the moral high ground of the oppressed without ever having to endure one single day of the violence you designed. But the foundation won't hold anymore. The lie is too flimsy. The original people, the targets of your actual racism, will not let you redefine the very weapon you created, just because you're now feeling the handle get hot. Your one and only invention is a fraud. And now all your corporations are imploding. Starbucks going under is a clear indication that your karma is here. No one is buying your bullshit anymore. You lost. The house lights are on and the jig is up. The entire fucking planet is tired of your performance. Racists act like they're in a competitive loop, acting as if there's an actual competition. We're good. Black Americans saw the man behind the curtain. Now you're trying everything in your little power to pick fights that you're guaranteed to lose. True problem problem lies within. The second you're presented with a single undeniable fact, dead silent. Just this vacant, stupid stare. Because you know you're caught in the lie. Black Indigenous Americans will be outside building actual reality. Lyndon B. Johnson laid out the entire attack against y'all decades ago. Hell, give him somebody to look down on and he'll empty his pockets for you. Men and women who paid for their chains and called them jewelry. Sold a fantasy of superiority to keep him from demanding actual equality. It's the oldest trick in the book, and you're still falling for it. Behavior. And then we have the jealous squad, celebrating and gawking at the idea that the Solons, the original people, would face the very immigration woes they fought to keep. It's a very sick and twisted hatred. To be a tether and so convinced that it's worth the pomp and circumstance to imagine brutalization. But to wish harm on the very people who fight for the world is diabolical self-hate. You are literally working against the most selfless populace per capita. Crime statistics